Last December, Beth Baker received a call about her grandson, Will. Her grown son, Jim Baker, knew nothing of it at the time, but Will Brown was in danger. Trouble was, the phone call was a hoax.
I got a call one morning, and they said that Will was in Peru and that he was in trouble, and that he had not been drinking, but someone in the car had been drinking, and there was an accident and someone was hurt.
It began with a request for $600 to help her grandson, but over the course of a week, the amounts got larger. So large that it got to the desk of Deputy District Attorney Paul Greenwood. And like many scams that target seniors, it had the heartbreaking commonality of using the combination of love and fear to steal money.
She is a lady who is not in any of the least incapacitated. The only fault she has is she loves her grandson dearly. And in that particular scam, she was convinced that the person calling her was a representative from the American Embassy working in Peru. He was representing her grandson, who happens to be in real life a Coast Guard, situated on the east coast of the United States, but was representing that her grandson was in a Peruvian jail, that there was a gag order which would not permit her to say anything to anybody, and if she violated that gag order, then there was a possibility that her grandson might be harmed.
Oh, I was horrified, and I was so nervous I didn't stop to think rationally.
Paul Greenwood has heard this story too many times. As a prosecutor for the San Diego District Attorney, he specializes in crimes against seniors. The grandma scam, as it's known, is a common one.
The scam is up when the alleged victim talks to a family member and says, "I'm sorry to hear that Will is in jail," because then they'll be told, "No, he's not. He's right here next to me." So if you hear somebody tell you, "Don't tell anybody else," that's a red flag. If you hear them tell you, "Go get a Money Pack Green Dot prepaid card," that's a huge red flag.
The Green Dot Money Pack. You may not have heard of it, but it's available at many stores, and it's a very easy way for scammers to get your money. Once you've loaded a card with cash, all the criminal needs is the 14-digit PIN on the back of the card. They can then turn the money pack back into cash on their end. Almost untraceable. In Beth's case, once she'd given the first $600, it started a week's worth of demands for more.
I began to travel all over, National City, Chula Vista, San Diego, and way far away, because they told me not to go to the same ones. And so I did that. And it was very trying to me. I don't like to drive that much, especially in places I'm not familiar with.
To my mom, the only thing standing between my son and a life in a Peruvian prison was her money. And so she would have given, fortunately it got stopped before they took her last penny, but she would have given all her last penny. I know that.
What they did manage to get after adding up all those Money Pack card purchases was a total of $64,000. All the time holding the threat of her grandson's safety in the balance. And even that wasn't enough. The final move by the scammers was a request for another $14,000, which sent Beth to the bank searching for a loan.
And fortunately, there was a really nice lady that she closed the door. She said, "Won't you just tell me completely," she suspected there was a scam.
I got a call at work from the bank manager who was with my mom, and she called me, out of the blue. I was literally walking out to go to lunch, got the call on my cell phone, and the bank manager said, "I have your mom here, and she's been the victim of a scam, and she's given him a lot of money, and she's very upset and crying," and, it was kind of like a punch in the face to me. It came out of the blue, and I will never forget that moment, kind of just thinking my mom had been taken advantage of and feeling anger and sadness, and it was horrible.
It's really the elderly population over the age of about 70 to 75 are targeted because, number one, they have the money, they have disposable savings that is readily available. Secondly, they are typically of a generation that was taught to be more trusting with voices over the phone and not to be so inquiring. People of my age and younger are generally a little more skeptical about life and about people.
it was clear that they were very manipulative. They took advantage of my mom's love for my son. And, you know, at first I couldn't believe that mom believed them, right? I mean, I was thinking, you know, how could she believe this crazy story? I mean, he's in the Coast Guard, he's an officer, he's in Maine, he's not in Peru. But, you know, when it was kind of like if somebody would have called me out of the blue and said something had happened to my child, as my mom said, you know, you kind of, it's such a shock to your system. Maybe the rational part of your mind is just like, what can I do to help? And so the fact that they took advantage of her love is what really made me most upset.
Unfortunately, I get very few calls from actual victims because they're too embarrassed. And here's the other key, and that's why I think something like this outreach is so important, because we want to reach the adult sons and daughters of elderly relatives, to put it in their minds that just possibly their own elderly father or mother might be the victim of a scam. And it's so important to reinforce through the adult children to make sure that their parents don't fall for this.
3 key things to be on the alert for. If the caller is making the situation sound very urgent, consider this a red flag. If the person wants payment in the form of these green dot money packs, that's a big red flag. A legitimate party would not request payment in this form. And finally, if the person calling tells you not to tell anybody else, you should be very suspicious.
Talk to your parents about it. Warn them about it. Don't think, oh, well, it can't happen to them, because I guarantee you the guys who did it to my mom are doing it today somewhere else, in San Diego, in California. It's happening today, and that's the horrible thing about it.
In the County News Center, I'm Dominic Fulgoni.